Okay, hey everybody, welcome to this session for PayPal Developer Days. So what we're going to talk about today is driving business value for your subscriptions business. So my name is Brian, I'm a product manager on the checkout team, and I'll be presenting with Joe, who's a software engineer on Braintree SDK. So just to kick us off, one of the things that we hear a lot from customers is, especially in the subscription space, it's really important for their payment partners to understand that subscriptions business is about driving customer lifecycle value. So that includes checkout, maximizing conversion at the point that the buyer is signing up for a plan and making sure that there's an optimized experience for that. But also making sure that after the point of checkout, payments partners are helping businesses retain those customers to maximize customer lifecycle value. So it's about both conversion at the point of checkout, and it's also about long-term retention by minimizing involuntary and voluntary churn. And so at PayPal, we have really made a point of offering a solution that works across all of these different drivers. So we've built, a best-in-class fast checkout experience, and we've made a bunch of investments in that experience over the last year or so to make it even better, which we're excited to show you today. But we've also invested in driving a best-in-class auth rate for subsequent transactions to minimize involuntary churn, as well as cancellation interventions, where we've made some new investments to help you retain customers when they're thinking of canceling the plan and to really help them understand their options and potentially win them back. So just to give one example of how PayPal has always invested in this customer lifecycle view is a feature that we call Smart Wallet Retries. And the problem statement here is for traditional payment methods, if a buyer sets up a plan using a credit card or a debit card, merchants really don't have much recourse if that funding instrument later on in a plan's lifespan is unsuccessful. So they can retry the payment again, but if that doesn't fail, they don't have a lot else they can do other than losing the customer. With PayPal's Smart Wallet Retries, because we have a deeper wallet, usually with multiple FIs for a given customer, we will automatically attempt payment on up to 2 additional funding instruments for that customer. And as a result, we have higher subsequent transaction auth rates than most of our peers. So on average, we're 3% better than credit cards, 10% better than debit cards, and up to 44% better than other leading digital wallets. So we're really helping you protect your business beyond the point of sale. So today, PayPal offers 2 solutions at a very high level for subscription merchants. The first one, and those, the right solution for you will depend a little bit on your business size and your business's unique needs. The first solution that we offer is a full stack subscriptions management platform. And this is a great fit for small businesses looking for a simple solution that they can implement quickly. And what this will do is, it will help you very quickly set up plans within PayPal.com, 4 different products, and then both manage those plans in a full stack solution and allow PayPal to serve as a payment mark for those plans. The second solution, and this is what we're going to spend most of our time talking about today, but come find me after the session if you'd like to talk more about the first, is our PayPal managed subscriptions solution that we call PayPal Billing Agreements. And this is a great fit for large enterprise merchants or merchants with more complex use cases, and especially merchants that want to keep their existing subscriptions management platform that they already may have in-house or via a third party. And so here, merchants are able to keep those platforms, but PayPal serves as the payment mark, which allows merchants to benefit from PayPal's best-in-class checkout, as well as those churn prevention capabilities that we have in place. So you may have seen some reports about this in the media, but we have made a lot of investment over the last year plus to really improve PayPal's checkout experience end to end. And we're super excited about the results that we're seeing in this. So just to share 2 data points that we think are really exciting. The first is we've done a full replatforming of PayPal's checkout. And one of the outcomes is that we've reduced customer latency by 45%. So a huge improvement in the customer experience just in terms of speed. And the second is that when we think about all of the end-to-end conversion changes that we're driving, customers can expect on average an estimated conversion lift of 3% on average. So really driving value directly to acquiring new customers and ultimately having, increasing your business value. So to go into a little bit more detail, and we'll talk shortly about how developers can implement some of these changes. If we think about these 2 buckets, so bucket 1, conversion, bucket 2, churn. Within conversion, we've made a couple of investments upstream where merchants actually won't need to make any integration changes. So that's including the latency improvements, which will happen via our replatforming, as well as investing in new, more streamlined login experiences. In addition, we've completely redesigned the PayPal pay sheet, and you can see an example of that in the middle of the slide here. So we'll go into more detail on this, but we've made it much clearer, much simpler, and much more modern. And for the first time, we're surfacing more relevant information to buyers at the point of checkout so they retain context all the way through the transaction. And then finally, we've invested in some new churn mitigation capabilities, and we'll go into more detail on this as well. But we're really excited about how we are helping merchants better engage with customers that are thinking of canceling via PayPal so that they can always be a part of the conversation and where appropriate service win-back offers. So the first of the two features that we'll deep dive on is around PayPal's re-architected checkout flow. So you can see on the left-hand side of the slide here an example of what the flow used to look like. And while this was a fast checkout flow, there are a couple of opportunities in this legacy flow. So one, there's just a lot going on. It's very confusing, or it can be very confusing and very busy for buyers to pull out the information that matters the most. And it doesn't actually surface any information that's specific to a recurring transaction. And so the new experience on the right, we've really emphasized making a design that is more modern, that's much simpler and reduces cognitive load, and allows buyers to retain context all the way through checkout. And so if you look at the module that begins with set up your subscription, for the first time, we're allowing merchants to pass through metadata that shows buyers within PayPal's experience what the plan is that they're signing up to, and partner that with the merchant logo. So you can service plan details like the amount, the frequency, et cetera. This is just metadata, so you don't need to change any of your subscription management tools, and the intent really is to drive transparency to buyers. If implemented, this will really help drive, we think conversion for buyers because it helps retain context all the way through the checkout flow. So buyers don't feel as much of a need to go back to check their details, get confused, potentially drop off, as well as by driving more clarity throughout the flow, helping downstream metrics, so disputes, chargebacks, et cetera. The experience is super flexible, so we can surface this metadata across a lot of different plan types, and these are just a couple of examples. So you can see on the left-hand side kind of a classic subscription plan. We can also support free trials. We can support plans where the amount may vary month over month depending on usage, as well as more complex use cases like unscheduled card on file and physical goods. So there's a lot of different ways that you can configure this to meet your business's unique needs and make sure that you are being clear with your customers about what it is that they're signing up for. So just two things that I want to emphasize before I hand over to Joe. The first is that this is really easy to implement. So Joe will walk you through the details, but this is not requiring you to change your existing call stack. It's just passing some new information. And the second is you don't need to change your broader subscriptions management architecture. So you can continue using your existing subscriptions management platform and your existing way of doing business. This is all just about driving performance at the time of checkout and driving transparency for your customers. So with that, I will hand over to Joe.
Thanks, Brian. As Brian mentioned, hi everyone, my name is Joe Plakarski. I'm on the Braintree Web SDK team. I'm excited to go over this with you today. So this is kind of a demo page. Let's say you have a store that you sell donuts that specializes in home delivery. What this looks like when you integrate with this new pattern, if this video plays. So you see here a customer will come and select which product they want. Here we have a monthly dozen product that sends a dozen donuts a month. They click the button, and the key here is you now see that the monthly dozen is on this pay sheet as well as the $10.99 every month. This is also where the logo will go if you decide to choose that. And they click agree and continue. And when that gets done, you can see they are, I'm successfully subscribed to the monthly dozen. So this kind of connects the buyer with what they see on your page and with the PayPal pop-up to kind of make that connection to kind of drive conversion. So this is just kind of the basic vanilla subscription integration. As Brian mentioned earlier, it's super easy to add this functionality. In fact, if you are already integrated with the Braintree Web SDK, we designed this so you don't even have to update your version. It is already there for you. All you'll have to do is pass in this metadata information into your create payment call when you are creating the billing agreement. It's a plan metadata where you'll define a billing cycle as well as the amount and the name. As I mentioned, this was just a vanilla subscription. But in the next demo I'll show you, we do offer you the ability to offer trials. So what that looks like from the customer perspective, once this gets going here, it's very similar to the vanilla subscription flow, but there is one subtle difference you'll see here, that in the pay sheet that comes up, you'll see very clearly a 1 month free trial as well as 0 due now. And then the start date where the customer will get charged with their monthly fee. And then same deal as the subscription. They will, once that's done, they are now successfully subscribed. And just like the subscription flow, it's really simple. Here you just define another sequence in your billing cycle array, just saying that this is a subscription. And then when you want to start charging the customer, you define that in the second sequence in the in your plan metadata. So I'm gonna hand it back to Brian real quick to close us off here.
Great, thanks, Joe. So the second set of features that we'll talk about here are, so we spent just some time talking about how you can optimize conversion and some of the changes that you can implement to make sure that you're getting the most out of the PayPal experience when it comes to conversion. We'll also talk a little bit about some of the new features we've released about churn that we're also very excited about. So specifically, PayPal has invested in an improved cancellation experience for buyers that are thinking of canceling via the PayPal app. And the goal of this really is to help ensure that as many times as possible, merchants are a part of that cancellation conversation so that buyers can really understand their plan options and go to the place that it makes the most sense for them to manage their plan, which is the merchant's own cancellation flow. So there are 3 changes that I think developers should be aware of here. The first one is we've redesigned the cancellation flow UX itself within PayPal, and you can see an example of that on the left-hand side of the slide here. And what we've done is really emphasize that if a buyer is thinking of canceling, the best place to manage a plan is at the merchant. And so we use some UX to emphasize that. And then the second change, and this is where we would need merchant input to kind of get the most out of this feature, is we are allowing merchants now for the first time to provide a deep link within PayPal's app so that they can direct the buyer directly to their own cancellation flow within their own site experience, for example. And what this means is that buyers can go to the merchant's already built experience. The merchant can surface a personalized experience, and if relevant, surface the right win back or other retention offers to the buyer to try to save them as a customer. And then the third change, or the third thing that developers should be aware of here is if a buyer still wants to cancel their billing agreement with PayPal specifically, so that bottom button in the UX on the left-hand side, PayPal can send webhooks to the merchant, notifying them that the buyer has removed PayPal as a funding instrument. And so the merchant will then be empowered to immediately trigger a win-back offer to that customer to either get them to add a different funding instrument or PayPal back so that they can save that customer. So all of these changes together we're really excited about, and we've seen meaningful impact for merchants. And so for iOS users that are experiencing this new flow since it's been introduced, we're seeing about a 2.5% improvement in churn on average. So a really meaningful impact on merchants' business. And coupled with our other changes to the checkout flow, as well as our best-in-class auth rates, something that we think really differentiates us in helping merchants drive customer value across the entire life cycle. And just to show how to implement that second feature, so the deep link, again, one of the takeaways I want folks to take from this presentation is that these changes, in some cases, there are changes that need to be made by merchants, but they are very easy. So all that you need to do is go into your merchant account settings in paypal.com. There's a section in there around auto pay cancellation link preferences. And there you can upload the deep link to your own cancellation flow. And once that's put in place, buyers will automatically, when they click Management Merchant, be redirected to your cancellation flow where you can surface the right personalized experience for the buyer. So taking a step back, there are 4 best practices that we would recommend merchants implement to get the most out of their end-to-end checkout flow and take advantage of the new features that PayPal has released. So first, make sure that your merchant logo is up to date. You can do that in merchant account settings in paypal.com. And by doing that, you'll make sure that the right logo is being surfaced to buyers at point of checkout, which will help them maintain context as they're signing up for a plan. Second, integrate the recurring payments module. And so that's the set of changes that Joe just walked you through. So making sure that buyers can see the right metadata to understand within PayPal experience what it is they're signing up for. So they're less likely to go back, check their details, get distracted, or drop off. Third, upload the cancellation deep link for churn mitigation. So that's the last slide that I just took you through. And again, that's super straightforward. You can just do that in merchant account settings on paypal.com. And then finally, subscribe to PayPal's billing agreement cancellation webhooks. And I've attached a link there to PayPal's developer docs with more information about how to subscribe to those webhooks, which you can then use for buyers that remove PayPal as a payment method to also try to trigger win-back offers for them. So that's all the content we have. We're happy to take questions, and thanks everyone for coming. Looking forward to answering any questions and also to chatting with folks if they're interested after the session. What are you looking for in particular? Yeah, so we don't have any externally shareable data points on that, unfortunately. But what we have seen in rolling out the new flow is a significant increase in the number of customers that are going to merchant rather than canceling at PayPal directly. Yeah, so what it would do is it would invalidate the billing agreement. And so the next time that the merchant tries to use PayPal to pay for the plan, it wouldn't go through. And so in order to be notified about that, merchants can subscribe to the cancellation webhooks. They can either cancel the plan on their side, or what we would recommend is, because it's just removing the funding instrument, the same way you might invalidate a credit card, for example, that might be an opportunity to trigger a win-back offer. Right. So you would need to process, you need to, on your side, attach some new funding instrument to the plan. Mhm. It's both. So the developer docs that I linked there are to the REST APIs from PayPal, but there's also a Braintree implementation. Hmm. To make sure I understand the question, are you asking about how to handle the situation where the PayPal billing agreement is removed? Or I'm sorry, I didn't totally follow the question. Hmm. Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah. Yeah, it's a great question. So your question is about if a buyer is using a billing agreement for multiple things within a merchant. So for example, a subscription, but also one-time payments or multiple subscriptions. Yeah, if it's all in the same billing agreement, so our recommendation would be, first of all, if a buyer is thinking of canceling within PayPal, we are emphasizing through this new flow that they should go to the merchant to understand their options. If they're canceling a plan, for example, within the merchant, then they should go through the merchant's regular cancellation flow. If the merchant is still using the billing agreement if that's all the billing agreement is being used for, then the merchant should cancel the billing agreement. But if the billing agreement is still being used for other things, so another subscription or one-time purchases, then merchants can continue using that billing agreement as long as it's aligned with their agreements with the buyer. Mhm. Any other questions? Yep. So your question is about, say, a credit card is lost and replaced with a new credit card with a new number. Are we still able to bill the new credit card within PayPal? Yeah. So there is work being done within PayPal to make sure that if we have the TPAN, we can still bill on the basis of that TPAN. Mhm. So actually, the cancellation webhook is not a new feature. This is a best practice, and so it's something that we haven't seen every merchant adopt, but we do recommend it to merchants because it's another lever that's available to them to win those customers back. Great. Anything else? Yeah. All right. Thanks everyone for joining.